Hello and welcome to our first of the year webinar series. We're really excited because this is our What's New in 2025. My name is Nate Hairgrove. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Onform. And with me is my co-host, Gear Fisher, our co-founder, CEO of Onform. And Gear, we are beyond excited about tonight's webinar, aren't we?
Yeah, we sure are. So much to cover and so much to show. If those of you were fortunate enough to be at the PGA show, you've seen some of this. But for all those that couldn't make it to the PGA show, we're excited to show you all the things that we've been working on in the app to be released soon.
Love it. Couple of housekeeping topics to go over. So we try to monitor our chat, our Q&A really closely. We will do our best to answer any questions that come up live, as well as anything that you want to just shoot us a message super quick. We'll be able to answer that. As always, you can reach out to us at support@onform.com if you have any questions that maybe we don't cover off tonight. And we're excited to get going here. So on the screen, you should be able to see some of our agenda that we're going to be going over tonight, some of the new features we're excited to go over. And I just want to kick it off right off the start with our huge announcement that we just announced at the PGA show, our PGA Coach Partnership. And we are thrilled to be the video provider for the PGA of America PGA Coach app. And really what that means, Gear, is coaches now will be able to utilize the PGA Coach app for scheduling and getting students. And then when they get that student and they hit that video button, it'll launch Onform. So that integration partnership is something that we're working really hard to get going. And you want to share anything about the PGA Coach partnership we got?
You've mostly covered it. I mean, just imagine these two apps working together really nicely. You'll be able to connect with students through PGA Coach in your coach directory. But when you go to launch the video player, it launches Onform. You'll be able to record videos, do your lessons, voiceovers, and then easily share them back to PGA Coach if that's your preferred way of communicating with students, or use Onform. So also imagine over time things like being able to surface up today's lessons. PGA Coach is your great solution for booking lessons. And it could automatically tell Onform, oh, here's your 7 lessons you have. You'd open up Onform and boom, we automatically show you the 7 students that you have lined up for today's lesson. So lots more to come, lots of really cool ways that we're going to make them talk to each other. And I think it's going to be really valuable partnership for all PGA coaches out there.
Agree. We are excited about the relationship we've built with the PGA of America. We've been on daily phone calls and meetings and just brainstorming ideas with them. We are really, really excited to grow the game, to make the game more accessible to our students, our golfers, and make the game of coaching just easier for our coaches. So we're really excited about things that are coming here in 2025. Well, let's jump to some of the new developments our team has been working on, Gear. Something I'm really excited about, which is probably not the flashy part of an app, but it's something that you hear me talk about it all the time. I'm most excited about this feature because it's something we hear from our coaches all the time. Man, this is one thing. If you guys could come up with this, it would make my life so much easier. And we listened and we came up with this, and we're calling it Centralized Admin Tools. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, so hopefully you'll be able to share yours. But I want to jump into the centralized admin tools. Walk us through what it means to kind of manage the staff and add students. And I don't want to take any more of your thunder. You take it.
Yeah, thanks. So we have had so many requests as we've grown over the years, from single coaches to multi-coach, multi-location organizations, the ability to essentially assign students to coaches and basically how to run your academy or how to run your baseball facility where I have, 7 instructors and 1,000 students that come in and out. So we're bringing new tools to life, and those look like, if you follow my cursor here, I've created an Onform organization. So everybody's going to get their own organization. And the first thing I'll draw your attention to is this staff management page. So we've brought the visibility of all the coaches in your organization into one page here. Now you can filter and search by assistants, etc. You can add staff from this screen. But what's really cool is I can also click into a coach and see all of the students that they manage. Now, I can run through and check out all the different people that they're working with. And eventually, not today, but eventually, you'll be even able to drill down into the students' workspaces of your assistant coaches, so you can provide the quality assurance that you want to make sure your facility or academy is delivering. So it gives you the ability to add coaches, remove coaches, as well as be able to do QA across all of their students, all from this one single staff management page.
Yeah, that managing staff is it's going to be so helpful for our coaches who have multiple coaches that they work with, that they look after, that they are working alongside of. But one thing that I've heard through our journeys here in the last probably 6 to 9 months is just the ability to what we're calling bulk invite. I wish there was a way that I could send out one invite and my students and athletes could go create their profile and then be connected to me. Previously, it was a one-to-one. I had to individually invite, but I know that we're having something new with this bulk invite piece. Talk us through that.
Yeah, exactly. So in the past, when you go to add a new student as a coach, you click the plus button, you say add new people, and you say add individual manually, and then you type in the name of the student and send them the invite. Well, now we've added something that's been requested by a zillion folks, the ability to bulk add individuals. So you now, instead of getting a unique code when you do an individual, I can say bulk add individuals. And here's what gets really, really cool. Using our collections feature, you can also say, hey, when the student fills out their form to add themselves into my Onform account, I also want to connect them into a particular collection. So maybe I work at a couple different golf clubs. The invite link I'm about to create will automatically connect every student that signs up into my Colorado Golf Club collection. I simply hit create invite. It generates that code on the server. And again, just like the individual one does, hands it over to you to send a text or an email or just copy that link. And now, if I tap on mail, this is a multi-use code that I can send to all of my students or any student that comes along. They fill out their name and details, they create their account, and then they're automatically going to get joined into the Colorado Golf Club collection over here. So if I dismiss this, you'll see that when I send out that URL, each student will automatically come in here. And of course, we'll track it all through our recent activity section in the app. You'll get a notification when a student signs up. You don't even have to type their name in anymore. This is incredibly useful for a variety of situations.
When I think of this, I had one coach just yesterday who has packages they sell, right? They came in and bought a gold or a silver or a bronze package. And we made the suggestion when this particular feature is ready, just send this link or URL within that receipt of, hey, thanks for the purchase. Here's this automatically code link. Go sign yourself up and you're ready to go. It's even taking off some of that additional work that coaches used to do. So yeah, like I said earlier, I'm super excited about this, but it's just an organizational piece, right? It's just an admin tool. So I'm really excited if you can't tell.
Another perfect example is if you're running a camp or a clinic and you have 60, 70 people coming, you don't have to type their names in anymore. You simply, like you said, you create a weekend camp collection, generate the invite code here, bulk add individuals, and just put that URL into the thank you email. And then as they sign up for the weekend camp, they add themselves to the weekend camp collection. It's an incredibly useful feature, and it's been asked for. I think you're going to love it, for everybody out there.
Yeah, totally. Well, listen, I think it's about time that I don't know, I think our marketing team sent out, there's going to be a special guest. And I think it's about time we introduce, or maybe reintroduce, our golf brand ambassador. Mr. Sam Saunders is with you there in your studio. I'm really excited to have Sam on our webinar tonight. He's going to be our swing model, which is, it's a little better than what you and I have gear, I would say, but he's going to be our swing model, and we're excited to have him. So without further ado, let's kick it over to you. Let's jump into our next feature, which is multicam, and let's introduce Sam.
Cool, thanks. So we're going to talk now about our multicam capability and a really new feature, the ability to use a control iPad, similar to how you might use a desktop computer in a typical studio. So check it out. I'm going to go ahead and start my iPad camera, and you're going to see it turn on, and everybody wave to Sam. Hey, Sam, thanks for joining us tonight. And so here, what you can see, this is my camera from the iPad itself. This over here, this face on camera, I happen to have another iPad set to our auxiliary mode, and I have another iPad or an iPhone set on auxiliary cam here. So all three of these will be time synced. And Sam, let's go ahead and take a swing. So I just recorded that using our manual mode, and you'll see when I pull this up, I now have a time synced 3-camera view of Sam's swing. Now, I can actually have up to 4 devices. I can set these anywhere, right? We just happen to have set them on the face-on view. We set one kind of at an oblique rear angle, and then my iPad is acting as the down-the-line camera. But check this out. We now have the ability to turn on a control device. So what that does is it turns off the iPad camera, and now I'm simply receiving the video from the 2 fixed auxiliary cameras. So as a coach, I could be holding my iPad, walking around, carrying it with me, doing, basically giving me the ability to be mobile, which is our whole ethos. These cameras are set up on Wi-Fi, and now through the control iPad, Sam, let's go ahead and take another swing. We're going to get, essentially the down the line and face on angles from that control iPad view. So again, I could be anywhere in the studio, maybe helping him with his hands, walking around, or sitting at a desk back behind, but I have the ability to be either using the iPad that I'm holding as a camera, or using it purely as a control device, taking the feed from the other devices that I've set up in my studio.
I love that. Just wanted a total housekeeping point here. I've had a couple people raise their hands. And just another call out reminder, there is a QA option in the bottom of your screen. That's where if you have any questions, I've been able to answer a few already, but if you do have questions, please submit them right there and we'll do our best to answer those for you. But just a quick housekeeping on that one. Here's something I noticed that I would love to call out. If you could go back to the camera option, there was this little green line across the screen. I wonder if you could kind of walk us through maybe what that looked like, what that is.
Yeah, sure. So let me close out of here. And what you're seeing there is our new level feature. This has been asked for multiple times. I'm going to actually pick up my iPad, and you'll see this is a level. If you've ever turned the level on in the iPhone camera, it's basically functions the same way. So now when I set up my devices, I can have that level turn on, and it just helps me get really good, clear video when I'm out in the field or maybe off my tripod, etc. So that's our new level feature. It's comes standard with all the updates that we've been bringing out.
Yeah, I love that. We talked about control device and how that gives the coach the ability to kind of walk around. Really, it's a mobile studio. I call it a studio in a backpack has been something I've been talking about, right? It gives that coach the ability to grab their iPad and walk around wherever they want. But what if you have a student who's doing this, or maybe a coach who finally has a few minutes and wants to hit some golf balls? You and I have kind of coined it of like, what if we called it mirror cam, right? Like, why couldn't you take that control device and maybe put it down in front of you, and now you can see face on and down the line when looking at a mirror cam, right?
Exactly. So we've got that iPad or iPhone on the iRange Pro sitting there on that view, and I've got another iPad sitting over there. So as a coach, you can choose whether you use the iPad as a camera or not. If we go into control device mode, a really cool application for a golfer or while I'm teaching the student is I can take my iPad and place it at Sam's feet. And he can now see the feed from both cameras, down the line and face on, and rehearse, that swing plane that you've been talking about, or a certain posture or setup. And then as he swings, it would capture the swing. And it's an amazing practice tool. Basically gives you, the ability where it's mirroring the view from these remote auxiliary cameras right onto the iPad at your feet. So as a golfer, incredibly useful practice tool. As a coach, another great way to give real-time feedback to my student.
Yeah, totally. If you were to go into maybe that workspace that we're looking at right now, I think we would be able to see, yeah, there's the videos that we were just recording. So we get that three layout, and so cool. I mean, that's such a cool feature of it. And the fact that we can do this, when you keep saying devices, I get the questions of, would 3 cameras work, or 3 iPads, or 3 iPhones, or a mixture of both? And the answer is yes, right? If you have an extra iPhone laying around that you can put face on and down the line, then this is where that control iPad, that control device would be amazing. I'm getting a lot of text messages. I'm getting a lot of questions here saying, hey, when are you going to show us off that really cool stuff that we've been waiting on? The 3D stuff. So I think it's about that time, man. I think we need to jump in and do some really cool 3D visualizations.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So we've been working on this for a long, long time. And we're going to show you what we've built is a 3D system that uses a single camera. You can use it from the face on or down the line angle, and it will compute a full 3D visualization of the golfer in just about 5 seconds on the device. It does not use internet. You can be on the back of the range, no cloud connection, etc. And the 3D model will get computed on the device, and we're going to show it to you live here. So check it out. I'm going to go ahead and start my camera again, and we're going to be back to just a single camera. And obviously I'm taking a view from down the line right now. And so I'm going to switch to our auto detect mode. And if you're not familiar, auto detect is a hands-free mode that we have. Go ahead and take a swing, Sam. So without touching a button, the iPad recognizes the golf swing. And if we all count to 5 collectively, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, there is 3D. That happened entirely on the iPad, and we can do things, obviously, slow it down. You can see it's time synced to the video itself. I can rotate this around. I can play it back, in however I'd like to see it. We can even switch to, say, like down the line view or top view, and then play it, as we want. So it's really, really fast. It passes the eye test, you can easily see, and you can do that from either down the line or face on. And just to prove that, Sam, let's go ahead and let's see, I'm going to go back into auto. Yeah, go ahead and face me, and let's take a face on swing. Again, hands-free, captures a swing, will automatically store that in its own video clip, and takes about 3 to 5 seconds. I'm on a 2022 iPad, not even a brand new one. And there's the face on swing. So other things that we're going to do is be able to give you some really killer visualizations. For example, hand path. So here we have hand path turned on. And if I drag that along, as I rotate that, you're going to see that's a full 3D view of Sam's hand path taken from the face on angle. And you can get a really good view exactly what's happening. And notice we can also spin that around and be able to see that. And I'm still in auto capture mode, so Sam could even be taking other swings. Now, something I want to point out though is that I can also change these view ports, as I see fit, just part of our multi-angle capture and tools. Am I covering everything so far, Nate, that we had talked about?
You are. I apologize. I'm trying to keep eyes on you, but I'm also answering all these questions that are coming in. Let me throw a couple at you if I might. One of the things is does 3D work with other sports?
That is a great question. So
Yeah.
at the moment, we are starting with golf because we had to build a a full AI model and pipeline and train it with golf swings. So we're going to start with golf, but we will follow with other moves: baseball swings, softball swing, pitches. Our top sports: golf, baseball, softball, track and field, all those. We intend to bring this to multiple sports. And now, as is often the case, now that we've got one sort of up and running, it'll be much faster to get the rest baked into the system. So we're excited to bring this to more sports throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's going to be a game changer for these additional sports and movements. To be honest, we have a lot of physical therapists and chiropractors that I know I've seen on our attendees list that have joined that I know will absolutely love this. In fact, we've got one that uses this now and draws the lines and says, "Man, I really wish this was 3D." I'm like, "Oh, just you wait, it's coming." We're getting our dev team on it. So, yes, another question we had, Gear, if we can maybe jump back a little bit, is there's been a couple questions about the level. Where does that feature? Do we need to turn it off and on? And then one I'm not really certain on, I'm trying to answer it and think about it. Is there a level of iPad we need? Like, how new of an iPad do we need for that level? I can't recall the answer
For the
to
level, yeah, you won't need terribly new one. There's just a setting in the Onform settings to enable the level, just like in the Apple camera, you can just say turn on level. So I couldn't tell you exactly if your iPad can run iOS 18, you'll be able to use the level as well. And that'll all be part of our rollout coming soon. And by the way, just speaking of that, our organizations are taking up kind of this spot now, and we moved a couple things around, but I can still tap on my profile icon, and now I can hit settings, and I can go through all the various settings down here that are available. So no big difference, but just a slight reorganization of some of the buttons that are coming. And that also reminded me, Nate, now 3D, by the way, works not only with just a single view, but it of course also works with our multicam. And the reason I started out showing just a single camera is because every time at the PGA show we showed this in multicam, people's first question was, "Oh, you must need multiple cameras in order to get 3D. Well, in fact, you don't. But our system can work and be flexible and work with multiple camera angles. As we just recorded this one a bit ago. Here's Sam, and earlier we had an impact camera set up. So same thing, it'll record the angles that you set up. We got a great impact camera view with our high shutter speed setting. And again, you can get 3D with that. And let me take just a minute too to orient everybody to our new 4-way layout video playback screen. This is something that really never been done before, but we have the ability to have up to 4 viewports or panels, if you will. But I can change that through this little layout button down here. Maybe this is just too much information. I can go to a 2-panel view. And so now I can turn Sam on, let's say down the line here, but I'm going to select the 3D view over here. So, I might be talking about the 3D view from this direction. Again, we could turn on hand path, whatever we want. We'll have other visualizations, club head tracking, automatic swing planes, more to come. But now I can choose however many panels I want to display. I can swap out the angles that I'm looking at in each one of those. Okay, so it's a really powerful and flexible visualization system. I can even compare other multi-angle videos. So let's compare to this one that we picked just a second ago. So now I have that one with the 3D view and Sam's down the line view compared to this one, and I could even switch back to down the line, zoom in, and now compare different, specs there. So an incredibly flexible and incredibly powerful way to start looking at golf swings, no longer locked into just a single camera angle. We make it so easy to do multi-camera. And if you've tried our multicam in our current live version, which is there, we have completely rewritten the networking underlying structure of the system. And in the new update, it's faster, better, easier, more reliable. you're going to be amazed at how good it works over wired or Wi-Fi.
Love that. And I know some coaches, specifically in the golf space that are on here, did come to our booth and were able to stop by and kind of see it live. We did have it wired, and a lot of questions came up. Do I have to have all these wires? And the answer is no, you don't. We have it wired because it was like a studio setup where we had our TV, and we wanted to be quick and fast and seamless, but it absolutely will work on the back of the range where we can just set up a couple of devices and go. A couple of questions, if I may throw at you. One of them is kind of a unique question, and I don't mind showing it at all. If you would just review how we got to hand path, just where that is feature wise, and then they asked the question, which I knew would come up if we have, and I know we've got some really smart coaches on here watching. What was the sway aspect and the slide? And I don't mind throwing that on their gear, and let's throw that little teaser out there too that we're working on.
Sure. So let's go back to one of Sam's videos here. This little, these three dots have or three stars have become a little bit synonymous with AI, and we're using a lot of AI, computer vision, to provide these features. So you'll see a number of options under here right now. Hand path is one that you can turn on, and we also have the ability to visualize slide and sway. So you can see here as Sam rotates back, he doesn't hardly slide or sway. There's a little bit of, towards the target slide, and you'll see that red just kind of turns on a little bit once the slide gets to a point where we're going to make mention of it. So those visualizations will be underneath here. The hand path, slide and sway are two that we've started with. There will be more when we go live, and a lot more to come in the near future as we really take this to a whole nother level of automating drawing lines, etc., that you'd probably want to draw as a coach anyway. We're just going to help you and do it automatically for you.
Mm-hmm. Man, iPad, they integrate for more. Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming up, and before we kind of keep going down what we were planning on, let's jump back a couple of things to the control iPad. If you don't mind, just kind of going back to the workspaces, we can at least just talk to one of the videos we recorded. Sure. One of those, let's maybe pull one of those up, or if we had the three different ones. A couple of questions coming in just saying, how do we connect them? And I wanted to cover off on this. I think we may have done it at the beginning, but we did do a webinar previously talking about the auxiliary mode. And Gear, maybe you can just show that, what I'm talking about, just show where it is. There's the one tap, there's the manual, and then there's auto detect, and just underneath there, it says auxiliary cam. And we did a full webinar on that just to kind of go through how to connect those devices, how to make them talk to each other. But just to cover off on a couple of those questions, that's how we would connect the devices. And then once they're connected, you'll be able to have that option for the control iPad. Yeah. So there's the answer. Unless you want to add anything more, Gear, go right ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify, you put one device on manual or one tap or auto detect. Those are your primary modes. And you put the other devices on auxiliary cam. And as soon as you do that, it'll start looking for the main. Let's go ahead and turn one on to auxiliary. And it will start to look for any other camera that's in a primary mode like manual. And there you go. So we just had Mike turn on our face-on iPad to the auxiliary cam. It immediately goes and finds the primary and just automatically starts streaming and connecting to it. So it's incredibly simple. You'll need a Wi-Fi network. You don't need internet, but you'll need a Wi-Fi radio network nearby for it to talk to each other. Or you can set up a wired network using a little, $80 wired switch, and you can literally travel anywhere with that. And they just need a means by which to communicate with each other.
Love that. Thanks for reviewing that again. Multicam actually.
Hey Nate, let's talk about a big one. Sorry,
please go ahead.
Because I know what a lot of people are wondering is, where's the data for 3D?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that commercial, "Where's the beef" from the 80s? It's just remind me, where's the data? Well, suffice to say, we have all the data, but our ethos is one of, we're a bunch of careful engineers is what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, we're being very slow and deliberate about making sure any data that we show is accurate. We're in the process of testing against optical marker-based lab grade systems, Qualisys, OptiTrack, Vicon, Gears in the golf world. And we are going to publish all of our accuracy data when we turn on our key metrics. Yes, we'll focus on 6 or 7 key metrics: chest turn, hip turn, slide, sway, lift, thrust. And when we do enable those, you'll be confident knowing how confident we are about their accuracy. And because we're testing them against lab grade mocap systems, you're going to have a good understanding of just how accurate and how reliable they are. So we're still in the process of refining all that. You can see from our model, it passes the eye test incredibly well. I mean, if you stare at Sam here and we slow motion any of this, you can see that his hips, his shoulders are incredibly well represented by the skeleton there. But it's our job over the next few months to turn on the data, and that's exactly what we will do as we finish up our accuracy testing. And by the time we actually turn this, fully generally available, it will have those key 6 or 7 metrics visible.
Love that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, to maybe piggyback what you were saying about where's the data and how we are so focused. We have seen across the industry people throw stuff up there, but we are so careful before we throw anything that we're going to measure twice, 3 times, 4 times, and cut once, right? Isn't that when you're making something with your dad back in the day, measure twice, cut once? So we want to make sure that we are testing and testing like crazy, and we're going out to do some more testing next week to make sure before we release anything. Since you have this up, Garrett, brings up one of the questions. Somebody just simply asked, how are you rotating the 3D? How are you moving that 3D image around?
I'm literally putting my finger on the skeleton frame on the viewport here, and I'm just moving my finger around. So super easy to just drag around. And then we also give you these down the line, face on, and top view shortcuts, if I can click on it. So you can just snap to those specific angles. So it's just a matter of just like you do with photos, you just reach in and pinch and zoom with your fingers. I can just reach in with my finger and tap and scroll and pan around. I can also zoom and zoom in on this as well.
One thing that came up from one of our golf coaches is the integration with our launch monitors. I know that we currently integrate with 2, the Garmin little R10, which is a sweet little product for your students and maybe some of those DIYs at a really good cost just to go out and bang some balls and get some data on the videos. So we already integrate with Garmin. The other one we integrate with is the Full Swing Kit, which allows you to have up to 16 different data points on there. And those will also be connected with all the new features that we're rolling out. So take a swing, have 3D, have 4 different angles, have launch monitor. I mean, what else do you want from us, right? Yes, we connect with it all, and I love it. So yeah, there's that question. Here's another one. Can you layer multiple 3D models on top for comparison? Really good question, actually.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Not at the moment, no. You can put them side by side. So, like I showed earlier, I can hit select. I can pick, this and hit compare. And it will snap those all 2 together. So I can look at them side by side. I can rotate that one to face on. These are 2 separate swings. Now I can, do whatever sort of analysis I want side by side. But you can't overlay them. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, not on the 3D.
To be quite honest, I've never tried, but you might actually be able to. I don't think you'll be able to overlay the 3D just yet. Something we'll take note of.
That's a great question and really a unique idea. Something, Gear, that I think you and I take for granted, but I've had 3 or 4 questions on this is what's the best setting on your camera for capturing?
Well, I
We
wish
know
that was
the quick answer, but maybe kind of go, the quick answer is we don't know your setting, right? We don't know if you're outside in sunny Miami or if you're inside in snowy Colorado. Like we don't know, but maybe just, I love covering off on this when you can about just some of our recording features.
you bet. This is a quick dive in there. This button right above the recording changes your resolution and your frames per second. You'll notice there's time limits on those because the higher the frames per second, the bigger the file is, the longer it takes to upload, the longer it takes your student or client to download that video from the cloud and watch it. It just gets really big, really fast. But a lot of people like to use 240 FPS for the fidelity of it, right? Just seeing things move very little. Now, what we all really want though as a coach is great stop motion video. And in that case, you know, if I go to 60 FPS, I'm going to ask Sam to take a swing here and record it. Go ahead and take a swing. Now, this is using automatic shutter speed settings. And what you're going to see, it's, you know, nighttime here in Colorado, and we just have normal house lights. You can barely see the shaft because that's really bad motion blur. Now, with our app though, and I'm using 60 FPS to prove a point, if I click on this button that says auto, I can actually change the shutter speed so the shutter is open less, it thus gets darker, but I can brighten that up a little bit with ISO. Now, it's a balance. There's no exact number I can tell you. You just have to play with the shutter speed and ISO. If you can get shutter speed down towards 1 millisecond, you'll be doing really good. 1 millisecond towards the rabbit is faster. So Sam, let's take another swing. Now the video is a little bit darker, but what video as a coach would you rather have? You know, here's that one, and you're still gonna see motion blur, but hardly, not nearly as bad as before, you know, at impact. So being in, you know, nearly dark setting here with just simple can lights, you can get some incredibly good video with stop motion at any frames per second. And I just chose 60 because I wanted to show that the frames per second really has nothing to do with how good the capture is when you're actually recording. So this ability to change shutter speed and ISO is incredibly useful to get good stop motion. It's a balance. I tell most people 120 FPS is suitable for pretty much everything because Greg Rose told us 120 FPS a long time ago was pretty much as good as, you know, a person needed. But obviously you can go all the way up to 240 FPS if you want to.
Love that. A couple other questions if I can cover off on. One of them, it's a very valid question about 3D on the Android side of the house.
We don't have 3D on Android, so our strategy has been to build as fast as we can an amazing coaching platform and platform for your students on iOS devices, iPhone, iPad, Mac, and web. So our iOS devices lead our efforts. We are making great progress on Android. For example, right now in the Android app Play Store, you can now do voiceovers. You can do side-by-side comparisons of videos. I wouldn't say that it's fully coach ready because there's still some more functionality that we have, but we're releasing updates, you know, every few weeks, and we're trying to get the Android app fully more up to par for a coach to use. But the reality is 3D takes advantage of a lot of systems, and it probably won't be on Android anytime soon, to be frank. But you'll be able to do a lot of other stuff on Android. That being said, any voiceover that you record that has 3D or anything can be played on any device. So if I record if I do a screen, if I do a voiceover recording or a lesson and I use our 3D, you don't have to worry. Anybody you send that to will be able to watch the video, no problem.
You know, the one note I'm seeing a lot of, and I'm currently at 61 questions that I'm covering off on over here. One I'm seeing a lot of is like, when is 3D going to be for fill in the blank? Bowling, badminton, pickleball. And I keep answering tomorrow. So if our CTO is listening, no, I'm teasing. We certainly know it takes a massive amount of effort to get one sport ready. And that's why we're rolling it out with golf, because it's our our sport that we've started with, we've grown with, and we're bringing up to speed a lot of our other, what we're calling our bat and stick type sports, your baseball, softballs, tennis, crickets, so on and so forth. So we hope to have multiple sports and multiple movements for 3D, just not quite yet. So if our CTO is listening, I didn't overpromise that you're going to have it done by tomorrow, but we know that there's a roadmap and we know that there's a path to, we want to be able to provide 3D and amazing coaching features for coaches of all sports and movements. So covering off on that one, unless you want to make a promise, Gear, on that.
No. We're working really hard to get this out in beta form to all of our existing customers over the next couple weeks. Where it's looking good. We're testing on it every day. So we just have to make sure it's to that earlier statement, commercial ready, and we want to put it in the hands and not let everybody down. So we can't wait to get this in the hands of everyone out there. So we're working as hard as we can. A few more weeks and we'll be rolling it out. Nate, we have one more little secret new feature that we haven't talked about.
You're right, and I've been so busy trying to manage all these questions. But I definitely want to get there. We've talked about our single camera, right? And all of that stuff. We've talked about our multicam and the control iPad. We've talked about 3D and where's the data. But we're missing one little layout, aren't we?
Yeah, check out this nice new nugget. So the drawing tools, first of all, are still in where they were. We've redone the entire video playback experience, but if I hit the drawing tools and I tap on that tool again, to open up the panel, everybody's going to love the fact that you can now choose a different line thickness. So if you want a thicker arrow, you can now do that. Or if I want a thinner arrow, I can do that. So line thickness, something people have asked for a long time. Finally excited to get that out. And also, check this out, double tap the color to edit. I can now pick any color I want. I personally love violet here color. So now I can draw purple arrows and purple squigglies and purple lines and anything I want, and it will remember that color in our 5 shortcut layout here. So any color you want, and the line thickness is remembered between sessions, and you now can customize the thickness and the colors. And I think people are going to really love being a little bit more creative with their feedback.
Yeah, that's a cool one, especially when you're even in this golf scenario, you're only, 8-10 feet behind Sam, but let's say you're outside the ropes or you're a distance away from your student and you can record, pinch and zoom in and then have the thickness of those lines, which is really, really neat. Yes, we had a comment come in saying the line feature, amazing. Yes, we totally agree. One other question I got is, how does 3D integrate with the skeleton tracking? Love that, because Gear, you and I talked about it. We talked about the skeleton versus 3D. Go right ahead.
So not only did we come out with 3D, but we've actually improved our 2D skeleton tracking massively. Let me go ahead and turn on the rest of the limbs here in our, if you're not familiar, if you long press on one of these lines, it goes into like an edit mode, and then I can tap away. But check it out. So it is actually significantly improved. And notice how, I want to draw your attention to how stable the 2D markers are. In other apps and in our app previously right now, you'll see a bunch of jitter in the 2D view. Well, if you put 2 years of work into something, you'll make it really good. And our engineers have done a fantastic job. And you'll see that the 2D view now is incredibly stable. It follows the shoulders and hips incredibly well. And yes, you can still turn on numbers and things to follow that along, again, in a 2D plane. But the skeleton tracking is also drastically improved. And it's just as fast as it's always been, works on device, no internet, etc. And you can pull that up, for any angle. In fact, all 3 angles if you want in a multicam view. So I'm glad you asked, because there was a lot of work that went into improving the 2D view as well.
Yeah, there's boy, when I look at our new features list, we had what looked like just some really cool things turns into a 46-minute conversation that I think you and I could go another 2 hours on, right? I mean, it's amazing the amount of work that our team has put together. And yeah, I'm super excited. So how about this one? I have another question I'd love to answer, and I think it's a very good one. The camera position, will the camera position affect what the hand path shows?
Oh, yeah. So that's a great question. It gets into the very detailed specifics of how we've trained our models. Number one, we've trained our models. If you've used other apps, sometimes they're extremely finicky about exactly what angle you record from. We've trained our models so that you should record from down the line or face on, but you can be holding the iPad in your hands. It does not have to be on a tripod. Now, that being said, you're going to get the best results if you are orthogonal or 90 degrees to your student. So either 90 degrees behind them, right? So a perfect down the line on the hand path location, like, every coach is trained to record down the hand path line from behind, or directly in front of on the face on line, roughly hand height as well. That's where you're going to get the best results. But if you're slightly off for a couple degrees, it's still going to work. It just is going to be slightly different. It is certainly susceptible to inaccuracies if you're significantly off from those two recording locations, but we've tried to make the system quite flexible. So best practice, record down the line and face on at 90-degree angles to your student, and you're going to have incredibly good results. And you're going to find that it's not nearly as finicky as some products that you've tried.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah.
just to throw out there, I can't wait to turn on the data for everybody. And we're actually going to encourage you to go compare it to Gears, to AMM systems, to Qualisys, to whatever system you're familiar with. We want you to go take this out and put it up against anything. We're never going to say we're out to here to replace Gears. We're out here to replace OptiTrack or Qualisys. That's kind of crazy. It really is. But are we able to get really good information reliably from an iPhone out in the field on the range, not inside a $200,000 lab? Yes. We're going to have data that you can rely on and see the accuracy of. And we're going to encourage you to go out and try it, unlike some competitors of ours who specifically prohibit you from actually comparing it to known gold standards. So again, we're being very careful about accuracy. We cannot lose the trust of our coaches, and that's why we're being very careful as we roll this out.
Can you say that louder for the people in the back? I mean, Gear, what you and I have talked about since we first discussed with Krishna and the team about 3D is before we ever put a number out there, we need to test it against the gold standard. We've been out to TPI, we've been to different Gears and Thea systems and Qualisys, and we are working with doctors across the country just saying, where does Onform match up against your system? And how are we, and to your point, we don't ever want to prohibit our customers from benchmarking. Please benchmark against whatever system and then report to us. Let us know how we're doing. Here's where I'm finding, man, that would be so amazing. We're a community. How can we make this thing better? I love that. I absolutely love that. One question I'm getting, and I think we're getting really close on time, is when? When is all of this cool stuff going to be ready?
Yeah, so our plan is to roll this out in the next couple weeks to all of our existing customers, with the one small caveat that the organization's feature is going to require an import of all your videos and coaches and workspaces, and that's going to be a significant effort on the engineering side, on the server side. So all brand new users will have organizations as soon as we roll this out. All existing customers that I've already worked with, put them into an organization will have the features. But everyone else, we need to have you email into us and say, hey, I'd really like to get my academy on that. And we'll start doing an import process over the next weeks and months. And by summer, we'll have a button that you just hit and it'll pull everything in and off you go, off to the races. So But with 3D, with the 4-way multicam, that's all going to come out. And it's also something I want to say, to be very transparent here. We're going to roll this out in sort of a beta mode starting in a few weeks. And we expect that to last for a few months while we work out all the various little kinks and you guys help us report back on some of the bugs. And then later on, every feature you see here will be part of a forthcoming pro subscription of Onform. We're thinking around the April, May, June timeframe. That will be $4.99 per year. Our current coach subscription is $2.99. We're going to keep that level of subscription, but it will increase in price by $20, so $3.29. Still by far the most affordable system, and by far the most affordable and accessible system that has 3D on the market. And we feel it's we have never raised prices or changed our price in 5.5 years. And with all these new features and functionality, we feel it's only fair. And by the way, we're also going to come out with a cheaper version of our coach subscription. So you'll be able to buy a basic package, our current standard package, and our pro package later on this, let's call it late spring, early summer timeframe. So just want to be totally transparent there. But for the next few months, as soon as we roll it out, everybody's going to be able to play with it and go gung-ho with all these cool features.
Love that. One thing that you were talking about with our new pricing gear is, I think you said it's, you know, the basic, standard, and the pro pricing that we're going to be coming out with soon. Something to note: we talked about multiple devices that you can connect, up to 4. Correct? Did I hear that correctly? Making sure you can connect.
Yeah, that's right. So you'd have your primary iPad and 3 other auxiliary devices, giving you 4 total angles.
What I wanted to point out is, we are not charging for you to connect up to 4 different devices. Is that correct?
That's correct. The 4 devices will be part of our pro subscription.
Right. So there's some competitors out there that are charging you to connect an additional iPhone or an iPad to your current subscription. Absolutely not. That should be part of, I'm already paying. So I want to make sure that that's super clear of, as we roll these things out and these features, yes, we're going to be adjusting our pricing, but we think that it justifies for some of the new features we're rolling out, but we're not going to charge you to connect 2 iPhones together. That should be part of the package. So
that's correct. That's correct. And our mobile studio solution now with Control iPad and with all the new things that we've built in place is going to give you an incredible recording capability inside a hitting bay. You can take those same things and move it out to your driving range. You can do it indoors, outdoors, all with iPhones and iPads, which have amazing cameras, coupled with our shutter speed controls. It's our goal to bring you an incredibly affordable studio solution, ditch the fixed $1,500 cameras and $3,000 PCs, and use your iPad and a couple of iPhones, and you're going to have an amazingly good solution.
Love that. Just wrapping up a couple more of these questions, man. I think I should get an award for how fast I'm typing. It's like 8 words a minute. Just kidding. Gear, I wanted to thank you. I mean, I thank you every time you come on, but this is a ton of work that our team, our development team, has put in. And I wanted to thank them for all the hard work they're doing, because you and I get the fun part. We get to talk about it and experience it and share it with all of our customers. But thank you so much to our team that's put this out. Thank you for helping us walk through this webinar, this demo tonight. One thing that I wanted to throw out there is, if you have questions, if you want more in-depth on what we talked about, please reach out to our support page. Support@onform.com is our email. You can reach out there. Onform.com, you can go to the support page and schedule a one-on-one with any of our team. Gear and I would be more than happy to jump on a demo and walk you through any of the questions. Even if it goes back to just some of the basic stuff, just going back to how do I connect some auxiliary cams and how do I, so we would love to go through all that. Just as a quick reminder, again, we are recording this. We will send this out to our attendees list. We had, Gear, I don't know if you knew, we had a little over 800 people into our webinar. I didn't want to tell you that because I'm just teasing. No, it's been amazing to see all the people and all the support that we've received over the last several years and kicking off 2025. So With that, unless you have anything else to add, I wanted to
No.
say thank you. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you to Sam. I know he's in the background. Thank you for Sam for being an amazing professional and a really good golf swing, so much better than you and I ever could be. So with that, Gear, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's webinar. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for joining. We can't wait to get this out and put it in your hands, and appreciate all your time tonight.
Thank you.